2026. This will be live streamed on YouTube / Town of Camden, Maine, and it will also be teleconferenced via Zoom. And we don't have anybody on Zoom, is that right? No. Okay. The first order of business is the public comment on non-agenda items. Does the board or any members of the public have comment on non-agenda items? Okay, hearing none. Well, that's the end of the public comment on non-agenda items. And the next item is a public hearing item, the proposed ordinance amendment. The full language of the proposed ordinance amendment is provided in the attached to this agenda. Has everybody had a chance to read it? I don't know, Jeremy, if you want to just introduce it, just
Sure.
very briefly.
Yeah, let's do that. And I just, maybe before we start that, just recognize the members that are here.
Oh, yes.
And let everyone know we do have a quorum with 3.
Thank you.
And then ask anyone if they have any conflicts or biases having to do with any of these amendments.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Katie McGrath.
Lucia de Cordray.
Tia Anderson.
And does anybody have any conflict?
No.
No conflict.
Okay.
And then normally, Chair, we would read the procedure for public hearings. I can do that if you would like for you. Do you want me to do that?
Yes, go right ahead.
And so it's kind of a little awkward reading to nobody, but we're going to do it. And this is the procedure that will be followed for public hearings, and there are 5 hearings tonight on 5 proposed zoning amendments. I will introduce the application and explain why it's before the planning board. And then in this case, there is no applicant, so I'll just describe what is the hearing. And then the chair will see comments from members of the public who wish to speak, ask for any comments, and then they're taken from the floor. And then the board can ask me questions, and then they can discuss amongst themselves. And then you should ask for public comment a second time, any new information. And then we go through that. And then the public hearing's closed. The board will then deliberate more. And then at some point during that deliberation, the chair should ask for a motion, or someone can make a motion from the floor on moving the hearing forward to voters in June. That's what I have, and I can just continue on if you'd like.
For
Chair?
the first public hearing.
For the first public hearing. All right, the public hearing number 1 tonight, the town of Camden is recommending to amend Chapter 290, Article 3 terminology, 293.2 definitions by adding a definition of adaptive reuse. And I will tell you that we did talk about these all at the last meeting. Shenley, I don't know if you want to share the screen so that people on Zoom maybe can see what we're talking about. But it's all in the packet. It's all on the town's website as well. And what the proposal is again, creating a new term for adaptive reuse. And the definition is the process of converting a building from its original design purpose to a new use, emphasizing the preservation or rehabilitation of building features over extensive remodeling. Common examples include home to office, factory to apartment, and store to school conversions. That's what we have. If the chair would entertain any
Public comment?
comment from the public, and then the group can discuss and confer amongst yourselves, ask me some questions, and then go from there.
If there is any public comment, this is the time for it. Hearing no public comment, that's the end of the public comment period. And now, any questions from the board? Any discussion?
No.
Can I have a motion?
I think you got it one more time for
Or
public comments
comment.
after
That's
discuss.
right.
I know.
My apologies. If anybody else has public comment at this point in time, Hearing none, we are back to the board and we're going to make a motion.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve a text amendment to Chapter 290 zoning ordinance, Article 3, terminology 293.2 definitions for new definition of adaptive reuse as presented by staff and included in our packets.
And
Do I?
fine, and to ask
and
the
to
select board
ask the-
to move these to voters in June.
Ask the select
That's-
board to move these to voters in June.
I
Do I-
second that
Any
motion.
second? Yeah, any comment, any questions? You want to vote? Okay,
3-0. Thank you. We'll move on to the second hearing, and the same procedures go for this hearing too. Public hearing number 2 tonight is Town of Camden is recommending to amend Chapter 290, Article 8, District Regulations 298.8, Downtown Business District B1 to provide for the adaptive reuse of limited street-level residential uses in the B1 zoning district. And this would be that new definition that we created. This adds that use to the B1, and it would allow street-level residential in for adaptive reuse of buildings. That's what it would do.
Okay.
That's all I got.
So do we have any public comment on this item? Hearing none, I will close the public comment period and ask the board if anybody has any comments or questions on this item.
I would like to make a clarification, and it is red strike through and blue are the new additions. This is also, in this one, we are also striking out the portion that structures that are owned by a school administrative district. That was done last year when we were working with the school department to maybe convert the Montessori school into apartments. So that's being deleted. And what is going in its place is the adaptive reuse of a single-story structure that was constructed in or before 1900 and is located on its original site and is outside a designated historic district. I forgot to include that. That's what that is. There's no change from what you discussed at the last meeting either on this.
Okay.
And you're adding it to two-family. There's a small little hashtag. So as presented by staff
Yes,
would be.
yeah. I mean, that's what we talked about too. There's the hashtag that gets added to two-family.
Okay. Do we
There's
have,
already a hashtag for the multifamily. That's why that one's not changing.
do we have any comments from the public or any questions from the public? Hearing none, may I have a motion to accept as presented by staff?
I move to, I read this part then?
Mm-hmm.
I move to approve a text amendment to Chapter 290 zoning ordinance, Article 8, District Regulations 298.8 Downtown Business District B1 as presented by staff and in our packets to add hashtag symbol to two-family dwellings in the B1 zoning district, and by modifying the text represented in the hashtag under subsection D to read, "The restriction on residential use on a floor at street level shall not apply to the adaptive reuse of a single-story structure that was constructed in or before 1990 and is still located on its original site and is outside a designated historic district as presented by staff and in our packets."
That's really good. 1900, by the way, not 1990.
It's a typo.
Was that a typo?
No,
Okay,
it's a
you did
typo.
great. You did great.
1900.
That's amazing. You got all that wording in there. You did that so well.
I read
Thank you.
aloud to my kids all the time.
And then to follow up that one, I assume you're going to recommend that go to voters in June.
I recommend that go to
Okay,
voters.
that was included in that motion.
All right, very good. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments on that? Okay, can we vote?
We can.
3-0.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to move on to public hearing number 3. And again, the same rules and procedures move along for this one, so we don't need to read those again. And this is Town of Camden is recommending to amend Chapter 290, Article 5, Administration and Enforcement, 290.5 Photographic Record and other required submittals by adding a new subsection B, requiring applicants for certain projects in the shoreline zone to submit additional information to enable staff to appropriately review projects for compliance with state mandated shoreline zoning requirements. All right, and I'll go through what this is here. So Article 5 We're going to add, currently it's just a photographic record. We're going to add blue and other required submittals. And then there's a new B section. Additional information required. The planning and development director may require at the applicant's expense additional information from applicants for a permit for any development within the shoreline zone where such information is reasonably necessary and required to meaningfully evaluate and verify compliance with this chapter and those requirements of 38 MRS as amended from time to time. Such required information shall be prepared, stamped, and submitted by a licensed design professional. The required information may include but not be limited to site plan details, slope and drainage data, ground coverage, setbacks, vegetation, shoreline stabilization, and other information affecting public health, safety, or welfare. Those are the proposed changes. If you have any questions, feel free to. I can explain why we need this, or if you'd like. I
Do
think-
we all remember?
I remember from last.
And I don't know
yeah.
if anybody on Zoom needs that explained. I don't know if you want to just,
I can
Short,
try to
quick.
concisely explain this. Right now, we review projects and in the shoreline zone, and it is very difficult to review projects accurately and appropriately if we don't have accurate, good information. And that information needs to come from a design professional that can stamp a plan, that can verify what's out on the face of the earth. And a design professional, it's either like a civil engineer or a licensed surveyor. We will not require this always. It's when we need it, when we believe we need it to accurately and appropriately review a project. Some projects, say for instance, if I have 5 acres in the shoreline zone, all my land's in the shoreline zone, but it's 5 acres. My building is set back appropriately. I have plenty of ground coverage still available to add a shed or a garage or something. We would not require it in that case. It's just those cases where we need that information to adequately review per the standards. That's what it's for.
great, thank you.
Yep.
Do we have any public comment or questions?
I have some comment from the Conservation Commission, and they asked if I could share this today. They had their meeting this afternoon. It was recorded too. They asked if I could review what was going to the planning board tonight because they knew this was on there. And they wholeheartedly support. They voted, made a motion to support these amendments and wanted me to share that with you today.
Terrific, thank you. Hearing no public comment or no other public comment, I'll close the public comment session. Does the board have any comment or questions on this? We heard from staff. I'll open it up again for public comment. Hearing none, I'll close it for public comment. And may I have a motion? Yes.
I make a motion to approve a text amendment as presented by staff and in our packets by amending existing Chapter 290 zoning ordinance, Article 5, Administration and Enforcement, 290 5.5 photographic record in shoreland overlay zone by adding the text and other required submittals, and by adding a new subsection B, additional information required as presented in our packets. And I move that the select board move this to voters in June.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second that motion.
Okay. Any comments from the board or questions? All right, may I have a vote? 3-0. It passes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Next item.
Next item. Again, the same public hearing procedures. We don't need to read those again. Public hearing number 4 tonight. Town of Camden is recommending to amend Chapter 290, Article 5, Administration and Enforcement, 295.4, Certificate of Occupancy by adding a new subsection E, requiring certain projects to submit a stamped as-built site plan and certificate of compliance prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. I would add that I think what we had before was a certificate of compliance in this, and we added as-built. Shenley and I added as-built to this wording today. A certificate of compliance, just so you know, would be like an engineer or surveyor would do a one-sheet piece of paper, stamp it, and there to be a statement on it said, to the best of our knowledge, the project was built in accordance with the approved plans. That's generally what a certificate of compliance is. That's great and all, but what is very, very helpful and meaningful is the as-built site plan to go with it. So we would get that as well. And I'll just continue. What E says, the new E says, for projects requiring planning board and zoning board of appeals approvals and or are required to submit additional information as promulgated in 295.5B. That's what we had just talked about earlier. Those projects that we need more information to adequately review and approve projects. The applicant must submit a stamped as-built site plan and a certificate of compliance stamped by a licensed professional engineer or a professional land surveyor indicating that the site development has been completed in accordance with all approvals and supporting plans prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy by the code enforcement officer. So that will, again, when the project gets reviewed, and for those that need planning board and zoning board and that other process, they already had the engineer and the surveyor involved on the front end. They're gonna have to bring them back on the back end of the project before they get a certificate of occupancy. And they're gonna need us to provide us with plans that indicate compliance with the approved plans. That's what that does.
Okay.
It will be immensely helpful,
Yes.
not only for us, but I think for future buyers too of the project and the property, especially when we're dealing with a 20% ground coverage in the shoreland zone. It's really good to have that data and that information.
Absolutely, it protects the buyer, yeah, or the next owner of that property. All right, I will open it up for public comment. Any comments from the public? Hearing none, I'll close it for public comment. Now open it for the board to comment. Any questions or?
No.
I just think this is probably a long time in coming,
Yeah.
right? This,
Oh, yeah.
this
Sense.
change. All right, I'll open it back up for public comment. Hearing none. Can I have a vote? Or, I'm sorry, a motion?
I make a motion to approve the staff proposed text amendment, Chapter 290, Article 5, Administration and Enforcement, 2095.4, Certificate of Occupancy by adding a new subsection E that requires the submittal of a stamped as-built site plan and a certificate of compliance stamped by a licensed professional engineer or professional land surveyor before the issuance of a certificate of occupancy as presented by staff and in our packets. And I move to bring this to the voters in June. Is that right?
Okay. Can I, well,
Need a
any
second?
comments? Any? Oh, yes, I need a
Second.
second, sorry.
Sure.
Thank you. Any comments from the board or questions? Can I have a vote? All right, 3-0.
All right, great. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Next one, we'll move on to public hearing number 5. And again, the procedures continue the same. Town of Camden is recommending to amend Chapter 290, Article 12, Site Plan Review, 290, 12.4, Supplemental Information by adding a new subsection H to enable the planning board to require at the applicant's expense, third-party review of technical information during the site plan review process. And I'll just read what this is. The new H reads the following. The planning board, in its sole discretion, may require at the applicant's expense the review of any studies, plans, reports, or other materials submitted in connection with an application under this chapter by a qualified independent consultant or professional selected by the town. Such review shall be for the purposes of assisting the planning board in determining compliance with the requirements of this chapter and other applicable ordinances, regulations, and standards of the town of Camden. The consultant's findings shall be entered into the record and may be considered by the planning board in its fact-finding and deliberations to the extent the board deems appropriate or necessary. The anticipated cost of such independent review may be required to be paid as part of the application fee if an estimate of such expense is reasonably determinable at the time the application is filed, or otherwise such cost may be required at such time as the independent review is deemed necessary by the planning board. That's what
Okay,
that does.
I have a quick question on that.
Yes.
How is this different from what we're able to do now? For example, in the Nordhaven, when
Good
we.
question.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's allowed in the subdivision ordinance. We don't, in the
Okay.
subdivision code, we don't have this provision built into chapter 290, the zoning code. So on the subdivision side, it's already in there. Site plan side, it's not there.
thank you.
Yep.
All right. I will ask for comment or questions from the public.
And again, I'll just throw out, and I missed it the last hearing, but the Conservation Commission, again, this is one that they, along with the one prior, would like this, and they support this and would like this to move to voters in June.
Okay. Hearing no comments from the public, I'll close it and ask for the board, any comments or discussions?
No.
All right, have to open it up to the public again. Any comments or questions from the public at this point? Hearing none, I'll close it to the public and ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve a text amendment as presented by staff and in our packets to amend Chapter 290, Article 12, Site Plan Review 290-12.4 by adding a new subsection H, which enables the planning board to require at the applicant's expense third-party review of technical information submitted by an applicant for the review of any studies, plans, reports, or other materials submitted in connection with an application under Chapter 290 as presented by staff and in our meeting packets. And I move to have it moved to voters in June.
By the select board. Very good, thank you. Any comments or questions from anyone? Can I go ahead and call for a vote? All right, 3-0.
Thank you so much.
All right, I think that
That is all the business we have today.
concludes the business for today.
Next meeting's just reminding you of a site walk at Nordhoven on March 10th. That's next Tuesday at 1:00.
Okay,
And if you remember where we're going to meet, we're just going to drive up in and the spot on the left.
left,
Um,
first drive. right?
First drive on the left. I did get an email from Bruce, right? That was the other property owner
Yeah,
that
I
came.
think so, yeah.
That's his hunting grounds
Yeah.
over there. He did ask me about the snow cover and he was very appreciative of my response. I said we had reviewed it last time when there was some snow on the ground and that the standard says 12 inches. If there's 12 inches on the ground,
Mm-hmm.
we won't be doing it. He said, thank you. He's going to join if he can. I just
Okay.
wanted to share that with
Okay.
you.
I know we're supposed to get a little bit more snow on Friday, but it might,
Yeah. And
not
then it
be
looks like
anything.
64 on Tuesday or Wednesday
yeah,
of next
oh my
week.
God.
So we'll see.
So mud boots.
Yeah. And then March 18th, the following Wednesday, we will have a pre-application meeting and public informational meeting for 162 Camden Street. Remember, we had a pre-application and public informational meeting for Nordhaven. It's going to be very similar. Probably not as detailed because it's not as such a complicated project as Nordhaven. And the land area is much smaller. So I'm just throwing that out. That is March 18th. Letters are going out to abutters probably by the end of the week. And then we'll post that on the website and post it here too.
Did Rockport have their meeting?
Rockport did have their meeting and they waived the need for a joint review. I think they were interested in the project, but it has little or no impact to the town of Rockport. So they said, Camden, it's all yours. Okay,
Okay.
that's all I have.
All right, well, do we have a motion to close the meeting?
I make a motion, we close the meeting.
I second that motion.
Okay.
Thank you. I
I don't think we
appreciate
have to
it.
vote on that one.
I appreciate it. And I know it's, here for only half hour. These